Okay, so I want to try to show you how we can kind of prove to ourselves how thought materializes. Okay, one example, an easy example, and pardon the lighting, my phone actually is broken, that's why it has the lighting it has, but so one example is just simply picking a color, any color, and throughout the day you will notice that color everywhere. It will start shining through everything. That's one simple example of just picking a thing that you can see with your physical eyes, and as a result of choosing the color. Now, another example is when you're using astrology. Astrologers it has already been mapped out the ways that the stars are unfolding, and so you can use the tarot to prove if these energies manifest by the cards that you pull. So if you pull a card, let's say, just a simple example, because I actually am not an astrologer, I don't feel, I like talking about certain attributes of it, but I'm definitely not well versed in it. So, but a simple example is just like if you're doing a tarot card reading for a Virgo, and the first card that you pull is the Hermit card. The Hermit card in the tarot represents a Virgo energy. And that is a simple example of how the randomness it's seemingly random, but it's actually kind of like an apex moment where it comes to and through to kind of show itself in its own right. And it's a bit of an experiment. It is a bit of an experiment because sometimes it lands and then sometimes it's like the one you have to start to see what is actually missing from the cards in particular and with the tarot. But yeah, I'll have to do an example video of what to get deeper into it, but I need to do a little more research about some astrological alignments. So like, say for instance, like in this coming month, there's a new moon in Virgo, and right now we just came out of we're coming out of a full moon in Pisces, and like, so, you know, you might, you know, another simple example is you might pull the moon card. You know, it's a full moon, you know, on either of those days, and that's very straightforward, and it's almost so straightforward that it's hard to see the magic in it, because it's like, well, duh, it's of course, you know, there's just this unappreciation for the magic of the randomness of it, because if you're shuffling a deck of cards of 72 cards, the chances of you pulling the moon card on the full moon day really aren't that high. Like, you know, it's 1 in 72, and then moreover, there's energies that full specific type of full moon brings with it, and it's not uncommon to see cards pulled that represent those kinds of energies. So, like right now, we're in Venus retrograde and Mercury retrograde. So, and from my understanding, Venus retrograde kind of brings up past relationships and familial, friendly. Lovers or otherwise, and you kind of confront some old things, and it kind of teaches you about like where you're at with love. And then, so, you know, you might pull like a lover's card, but reverse because it's retrograde, and you know, and in the full moon in Virgo, you know, yeah, I already used the example of pulling the Hermit card, but it's that kind of stuff that I'm talking about. And the thing that reminds us of the magic of it all is doing the random card pulls, because the stars and the planets have already been mapped out as like there's people all over the internet, all over the world who look to the stars and the planets and the sun and the moon for timing and for understanding of what's going on, and people base a lot of their life behaviors off of it. And so when you just have this deck of cards, which sometimes have like astrological associations, and then other times have numerological associations, and then other times there's so many associations, but you try to find the most common ones amongst the cards, and they tend to, and you shuffle these cards and a random card gets pulled, but it's just not so random, because it's actually accentuating what's already going on, not unlike some like I was just listening to a tarot card reader. I think she said adventuring, but I could be wrong. I'm like 75% sure on that. But she said if you have this stone, it actually kind of brings out negative things. And I was just learning. I mean, I've kind of been learning about with cannabis that it's not. Cannabis also accentuates what's already going on inside of you. So if you're paranoid and you have some paranoia stuff, and you smoke cannabis, you're going to actually feel more paranoid. But if you're really like happy inside, you might start feeling more goofy. Like it's not so much a matter of the plant changing you, it's like accentuating you. And so how I'm trying to relate this to, so like how this affects us is that when the planets are aligned in certain ways, it accentuates certain aspects of our personalities. Because our personalities really are multifaceted, and especially in a day and age where we're always like putting ourselves on the spot and in the spotlight, like on camera, and it does something to our ego and to our identity, where we are kind of always like almost judging and observing ourselves and putting ourselves out there in ways that not necessarily are really of any true significance or value, but it's hard to tell sometimes, like what really is good, but not really. Like it's easy to tell what's good. Listen to your heart, okay? Just listen to your heart. I hope that this video has been informative, and yeah, stay tuned. I'm gonna do a reading, and I'll do an example. I actually have the most recent tarot card reading. How is thought material is actually has a little bit of an example, because I'm talking about something. I'm talking about something with water, and then I pull a card, and the imagery on the card has water in it, and it kind of is like an example of how these words and ideas all of a sudden, like you can see it in front of you in a picture or an image. So you might want to check that out. But yeah, if you like these tarot card videos, I definitely would love some feedback, because I'll do more readings, not as much personal, but in the sense of advice, but more in the sense of just studying the different layouts and learning different ways that the cards meanings change when aligned next to other cards and things like that. So yeah, have a good night. God bless you, and happy September. It's now September, so my birthday month and my son's birthday month. I like this time of year. I really do. Peace.